Hi, and welcome to this edition of Business Supes, where we interview successful business owners, learn a little bit about them, their business, and of course, their business superpower. So today I am joined by Amy Bates, and Amy is from Buckingham Bates Global Marketing and One Planet Life. So, Amy, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it.
You're very, very welcome. So let's go ahead and kick things off here. And why don't you tell us a little bit, a little bit about yourself, a little bit about the business. What's your origin story?
My background, I'm spent the lion's share of my career in marketing, B2B, B2C, and brand development, and in sports television and real estate and retail. And I worked in corporate America for most of my career and then jumped out about 11 years ago to start my own business.
So what was it that made you decide that you wanted to make that jump out of corporate America into owning your own business? Because a lot of people want to do that,
Yeah.
but not everybody has the guts to do it. So what was kind of that, I really want to do this?
You know, the truth is the timing has to be right. And my husband and I was very lucky in that my husband and I we ebbed and flowed. Right. So he followed me in my career to Tulsa. Neither of us are from Tulsa originally. And then his career started taking off, and it gave me an opportunity to think about what I was doing and what I would like to change. And I didn't have any problem working. I had trouble having no flexibility and no freedom in time management as a mother of three. And so to me, the true gift wasn't reducing my workload. It was being able to work from home.
Yeah, and it's funny when I ask people that question very often, almost every time, the core concept of it is freedom, whether it's financial freedom, whether it's time freedom, whether it's the freedom to pick and choose who works with you. That's a overarching concept or reason that people tend to go out on their own. So that's really, really cool. So tell us a little bit about the businesses then. What exactly is it that you do? Who do you work with?
So I work with entrepreneurs, mostly people who are individuals who want to create and introduce their own personal brand. And then entrepreneurs who've had an idea for a business and brand they want to introduce to the marketplace, and need somebody to help them in that arena. So over the last 11 years, I've worked with people and entrepreneurs who want to introduce a new product, service, or personality to the market.
Obviously, you've got the word global in there, so it
Yeah.
sounds like you're not just working with folks in Oklahoma. So what are some of the other areas around the world that you've worked?
Yeah, so a client of mine is in Vietnam, and he's a wonderful. So I helped him introduce. He bought a town in Montana, and he wanted to come back and really maximize that, because owning a piece of America, if you're Vietnamese, is huge, and they are a very tiny country and landlocked. So he wears a cowboy hat, and he wanted to introduce a brand of coffee. So I developed a global publicity campaign for him to really launch his brand of coffee and also his personal brand. And we secured, exclusives in Reuters and New York Magazine, and we really was covered in over 7 continents. So he was very happy with the result. And since then, he's gone on to do amazing things with that level of celebrity in Vietnam.
That's really cool. So is his coffee available in America?
It isn't. It's too bad, because he ended up selling it in Vietnam. So it's very competitive. Wow. And Vietnamese coffee is delicious, actually. But and then I've also I've worked with people in Tulsa who are developing brands and businesses. And then One Planet Life is based in Atlanta. And so I travel back and forth to Atlanta. But working remote is so much easier now, as we all know.
I've been doing Zoom since I started doing the coaching thing. And that's my joke, is I was doing Zoom before Zoom was cool.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah.
So what about One Planet Life? Tell us a little bit about that.
So One Planet Life, I'm so excited about it because it blends not only my professional skill set, right? Where I get to apply and develop this brand and brand ID and positioning, but it's about sustainability, right? So it's not focused on we're not activists in this. We are a social enterprise working to give individuals information to help us make a difference. So helping us take an I care attitude to sustainable living for our own well-being and that of the planet.
So as you think back over, you said 11 years, I think you said that you've
Yeah.
been in business. You think back over that, what is the thing, the accomplishment you're most proud of?
I'm going to say, just to go back to the beginning, you have to understand I was a very high level executive. So that's unusual, I think, to jump off at the level I was at financially and in corporate America. And so a lot of my peers at the time, I think they still think I'm nuts. So I'm going to say making a go of it and having success and not letting fear take over, right? So willing to operate without a full plan. And so having confidence in my own ability, I think, is the key thing. So what I knew I could bring to the market to place was myself and my skills and my ability to listen and interpret what you were saying and to execute on that. And so that is, I think, what the most value I deliver to my clients. My goal is to make their dream come true.
When you think about your clients, who are you really looking for? What's kind of what's your perfect client avatar, if you will?
Yeah, I am not a great day-to-day manager. So once it gets up and running, you should hire somebody, right, to keep this thing going. What my client has a good kernel of an idea, right, and then from an area that they're pretty they understand, right, that market. If you think about rug fashion, right, and you have this, that I was sharing with you, and you're taking it from a Persian or market to this man-made market, there was an understanding of rug production, but not an understanding of how to bring that to the market, how to create a business that would appeal to mainstream buyers. And so I think my ideal client is an entrepreneur with optimism and knowledge and a willingness to learn.
It's a big part of it, isn't it? The willingness to learn, because I think so many of us, we stop growing after we get out of high school or college or whatever it is, because we can choose to do that. And we've got a saying in our organization that your business will perform to your level of incompetency, right? So the more you learn, the more you experience, the more you grow, the better chance you have of growing your business as well. So that's a great point.
I'm going to say that's key to me. I mean, I used to have people doing a lot of work. What I've enjoyed is I'm creating websites, right? I actually design, but I am learning. I read constantly. I'm in training sessions. I am a continuous learner. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do what I do.
Right. Yeah. And it's so much more fulfilling, I think, too, to keep learning and just expanding your horizons and moving to that next level. So that's really cool. What kind of so how do you do your learning? Is it reading? Is it podcasts?
Yes, all of that. I have apps such as Blinkist, which is executive summaries. I used to buy the executive summaries. Now I use Blinkist, the app. I used Feedly, which is an aggregator app that will aggregate articles based on what I want to know, right? So if you're thinking about One Planet Life and living sustainably, I want to see what's being talked about in the marketplace. So I constantly am reading, and then podcasts, and then also learning, taking Google classes and taking SEM Rush classes to learn SEO and Yoast classes. So I have to learn the skills, both on the development and also the implementation to grow communities. So
you're doing all these things. You're listening to podcasts, you're reading, you got your Blinkist, you got your classes. Obviously, you still have your company that you're running. So how do you manage your time and make it all fit and stay sane?
I'm not loose on it. I think I'm actually more structured than I was when I was in corporate America. It was established. I
Mhm.
would come in and I would have it, so being on my own, I'm actually more structured, but in more control of my time. So I will, designate time that I'm going to work. I have my deadlines. I know exactly what I need to accomplish. But then I can go out and throw a load of laundry in and make dinner and pick my daughter up from school. So it's a gift.
Talked about a lot of the good things about being a business owner. What are some of the challenges maybe that you experienced as you've grown and scaled, and maybe something that you've experienced kind of recently?
Uh, the pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was pretty huge and something none of us had gone through before. And weathering that was
Hmm.
interesting and challenging. And I appreciated actually the support available in Tulsa from a coaching perspective.
Hmm.
Um, but also, I think the changing environment, the thing that I'm looking at now is AI, right? And the changing environment. And how can I apply that to what I do? How can I make sure I don't rely too heavily on it, right? So I think that I think there's nothing can, overtake what the human mind can do, right? We got to ask the right
Hmm.
questions. So I would say the challenge for me is growth. I'm sure anybody else who owns their business is the same thing. I tend to be monogamous, in my thing. So I'm at one client at a time, very risky, right? So if I lose the client, I should have somebody in the wings. I'm going to say I don't do that well.
Ah.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
I
and
luck.
what's
I've been
the rule of,
lucky. I've been very lucky.
well, what's the saying? I'd rather be lucky than good.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, what is it? The 90-day rule, whatever you do now, impacts your lead funnel down the road 90 days.
Yeah, yeah. And so I had this idea of opening this boutique and having other executives work with me. And right off the bat, I took on a client, and the person who was going to work on the project for me fell off. So I learned really quickly that that was a caution, right?
Mm,
So you have a network of people, they don't work for you. And so that's been a
right.
learning. Um, and then just for myself, I have to keep up on things and make sure I'm delivering quality to my client.
Yeah, that's a great point. And kind of bouncing back to what you were saying about AI, that really is an interesting world we find ourselves in now, really just at the very beginning of it. And I've talked a lot with a number of my clients, and we've used it to create systems and
Yes.
key performance indicators and things like that. But as we've done that, we've realized that this is really more of a springboard. It'll
Yes.
save you time, the initial, contemplation and creation time, and it'll give you something to take and make better, which is really a nice thing. But I agree, there still has to be that you got to put your own touch on it if you really want
You
it
do.
to be effective and good. So I'll ask you the question that started this whole thing off. What would you say your business superpower is?
I'm going to say listening, creating, and executing to make my clients' dreams come true. That's kind of my mantra, and it's worked for me.
Mm. Well, and when people get results, right, when they achieve their dreams and
Yeah.
see everything play out in front of them, you tend to create raving fans, which is a pretty cool thing
Yeah.
to do. So last question here: 11 years of experience owning a business, working in multiple businesses. Got your corporate experience as well. What nugget of advice do you have for other business owners?
Constantly learn. I think you and I have both touched on that. This environment, we're operating at such an accelerated pace due to technology, and so I really think staying um, informed and constantly challenging yourself and training yourself to understand what's coming next so you can be the most valuable partner to a client.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fantastic advice. Absolutely, I love it. So, well, Amy, thanks so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day to hang out with us and share your business superpower and your knowledge and your expertise. We certainly do appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.